Welcome to a story that will change the way you see success. Welcome to a story that will not only touch your heart, it will stay with you forever. Because today, you're not just watching a video. You're entering the real life of one of the most famous, most beloved, and most unstoppable men in the world. A man who made the whole world laugh while hiding his pain. A man who jumped off buildings, broke his bones, cracked his skull, shattered his body, just to entertain us. A man who became a global superstar, but never had a real childhood. His name is Jackie Chan. But this is not the Jackie Chan you know from the movies. This is the boy who was abandoned by his parents. The child who was beaten into discipline. The stuntman who nearly died again and again, just for one more shot. The legend who made billions, then gave it all away. And the old man who looks back at his life, wondering if he forgot to live. In this video, you will discover the brutal training Jackie survived as a child, the heartbreak of being separated from his parents for 10 years, the dangerous stunts that almost ended his life, the loneliness of global fame, the regret he carries about his son, and the ultimate truth he learned after decades of sacrifice. You will also learn how real success is built, not with shortcuts, but with discipline, failure, heartbreak, and courage. And here's the best part. This video will also improve your English. Because as you listen to this story, told in easy, emotional, clear English, your brain will connect deeply with real vocabulary, natural sentences, and powerful storytelling. You won't just learn about Jackie Chan. You'll start thinking in English as the story flows into your mind. So get ready. Get ready for a story that is not just emotional, not just motivational, but one that will stay with you for life. Let's begin. Part 1. The Boy with No Home, Jackie Chan's Painful Beginning. Jackie Chan was not born rich, he was not born strong, and he was definitely not born famous. He was born as a poor child in Hong Kong on April 7, 1954. His real name was Chan Kong Sang, which means born in Hong Kong, because his parents had just escaped from civil war in China. They were refugees. They had nothing. His father, Charles Chan, worked as a cook. His mother, Li Chan, worked as a housemaid. They didn't have money for toys. They didn't have time for love. They didn't even know how to raise a child. So when Jackie was born, they gave him to someone else for a few years, just so they could survive. He grew up alone, and the only thing he understood, even as a small child, was this: I have to be strong. Nobody is coming to save me. When Jackie was 6 years old, something happened that changed his life forever. His parents got a job offer to work in Australia. It was a big chance for them, but they couldn't take Jackie with them. So they made a decision that would leave a scar in his heart for the rest of his life. They left him behind. They enrolled him in a place called China Drama Academy, a boarding school for Chinese opera performers. But it was not really a school. It was more like a military prison for children. The master of the school was a cruel man named Master Yu Jim Yuen. And Jackie was now one of his students. At just 6 years old, Jackie was thrown into a world of pain, discipline, and endless training. The children woke up before sunrise. They didn't have breakfast. They didn't laugh. They didn't rest. They trained. From early morning until late night. They trained their bodies, their voices, their flexibility, their reactions. If they cried, they were hit. If they made a mistake, they were punished. If they fell, They were told to get back up. There was no sympathy. There was no love. There were no weekends. There were no holidays. There were no parents. They slept on wooden floors. They ate cheap food. They used one shared bathroom. The master believed in discipline through pain. He made the boys hold handstands for hours. He tied their legs open to make them do full splits. He beat them with sticks if they couldn't memorize a line. And this happened every day, for 10 years. Jackie once said in an interview, "I used to cry every day, but no one cared. I just wanted to see my parents, but they never came." That's the part of Jackie's story nobody tells you. Behind every smile you've ever seen on screen was a child who felt abandoned, unloved, and broken inside. Inside the school, Jackie met other boys who would become his brothers. Together, they were called the 7 Little Fortunes. It was like a team of top students who were the best at acrobatics, kung fu, and performing. They toured all over Hong Kong, doing shows for money. The leader of the group was Jackie. Even back then, he had extraordinary talent. He could do flips. He could jump through rings. He could fight, sing, fall, and dance, all in one performance. He wasn't doing it because he loved it. He was doing it because he had no other choice. And deep inside his heart, he still hoped that one day, his parents would return for him. But they didn't. By the time Jackie was 10, he had no parents, no toys, no holidays, no real friends outside the school, no warm bed, no hugs, no one to tell him, "You're doing great." All he had was his pain and his dream. If I work hard enough, maybe one day the world will see me. From age 6 to age 17, Jackie lived inside that painful world. But he didn't break. In fact, it made him stronger than anyone could imagine. He learned how to control pain, how to smile even when it hurts, how to make a perfect move after 1,000 failures, how to obey, how to lead, how to sacrifice, and how to stay humble. Because no matter how good he got, the master never praised him. This was the Jackie Chan the world doesn't know. The child soldier, the quiet performer, the lonely warrior. He didn't choose this life, but it became the foundation for everything he would later become. When Jackie finally left the China Drama Academy at 17 years old, he had no certificate, no college degree, no money, and no family support. He had spent more than 10 years training like a machine. But now that training was over. He stepped into the real world, and nobody cared who he was. There were no job offers waiting, no fans, no applause, no security, just an endless city filled with hundreds of boys like him, all trying to survive. He had only one option: become a stuntman. And not a safe, comfortable stuntman like in Hollywood. In Hong Kong, stuntmen were treated like cheap tools. Producers didn't care about safety. Directors didn't care about injuries. If you got hurt, they would simply replace you with someone else. But Jackie didn't have a choice. He needed to eat. He needed a future. So he said yes, and walked straight into the most dangerous chapter of his life. Jackie started working as an extra in low-budget kung fu films. He was not the hero. He was not even the villain. He was the man in the background who gets punched once and falls down. Sometimes he was a bandit, sometimes a bodyguard, sometimes just fighter number 4. Nobody cared what his name was. Nobody gave him lines. Nobody even gave him proper safety gear. All they gave him was a quick direction. Jump from here. Get kicked. Fall down. Don't cry. And Jackie followed every order. He jumped off balconies, rolled down stairs, crashed through tables, fell flat on his back, landed on his face, got kicked in the teeth, hit with real wooden sticks, thrown into walls, almost drowned, lost teeth, dislocated bones, and once almost broke his neck. But he never said no. Why? Because deep inside, he still had one dream. If I do this better than anyone else, maybe one day they'll remember me. One day in the early 1970s, Jackie got hired as a stuntman for a film called Enter the Dragon. And this was not just any movie. It was the first major Hollywood martial arts film. And the star of the film was none other than Bruce Lee. Bruce was already a legend, a global icon. Every stuntman wanted to work with him, even for a few seconds. And Jackie got his chance. In one scene, Jackie was supposed to run at Bruce and get hit hard to show Bruce's power. That was it. 1 second of pain, 1 second of visibility. Jackie ran. Bruce hit him hard with a stick, and Jackie fell so hard that he forgot where he was. But what happened next changed Jackie's life. Bruce Lee stopped the scene, rushed over, and helped Jackie up. He touched Jackie's head gently and asked, "Are you okay?" It was such a small moment, but for Jackie, it was the first time someone important noticed him. He pretended he was still hurt, just to enjoy a few more seconds of Bruce Lee's kindness. 1 second made Jackie believe, if Bruce Lee can become a global icon, maybe I can too. But I'll have to find my own way because Jackie knew something. He could never become Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was serious, powerful, clean, perfect. But Jackie? He was always falling, always messy, always funny. So Jackie made a decision. I won't copy Bruce Lee. I'll do something nobody else does. I'll be the man who fights and falls, who fights and laughs, who fights and gets hurt, but gets back up. That was the moment Jackie began to shape his future. Even after working with Bruce Lee, Jackie's life didn't change instantly. For years, he was just another nameless man getting kicked on camera. Producers laughed at him. Directors ignored him. Nobody gave him a main role. Some even said, "Your face is not good for movies. You look funny. You don't talk like a hero. You can't be the lead actor." It would have broken most people, but Jackie kept going. He worked 18 hours a day, slept on studio floors, ate cheap noodles. Sometimes he didn't even get paid, but every day he practiced. He studied how other actors moved. He trained his face to show emotion. He studied comedy. He trained his body to fall safely but look painful. He rehearsed thousands of stunts until they looked real but controlled. Because Jackie had a secret mission. One day, I will create a new kind of hero. A hero who makes you laugh while bleeding. A hero who doesn't always win, but never gives up. In 1978, Jackie was offered a role in a film called Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. It was a low-budget kung fu comedy. But for the first time, Jackie was allowed to mix martial arts and comedy. He played a weak, silly young man who learns kung fu in a strange way, using humor, surprise, and fast movements. The audience loved it. They had never seen anything like this before. Jackie made them laugh, then fight, then fall, then win. He was not perfect like Bruce Lee, but he was real. He was the guy who looked like you, who failed, got hurt, and still stood up. The film became a big success, and then another one followed, Drunken Master. And suddenly, Jackie Chan became a name people remembered. He had found his style. Not Bruce Lee's style, not anybody else's style, but Jackie Chan's style. Pain, laughter, chaos, stunts, comedy, and courage. Jackie didn't get lucky. He didn't know the right people. He didn't have rich parents. He didn't get help. He built himself with pain, falls, failures, broken bones, and quiet practice. Over many, many years. And now, he was finally ready to take the next step. To become more than just a star in Hong Kong. He wanted the world. But the world wasn't ready for him yet. Part 2. Jackie Chan versus Hollywood, the painful road to global fame. By the late 1970s, Jackie Chan had finally become a star in Hong Kong. After years of broken bones, rejection, and humiliation, he was now the face of kung fu comedy. His movies like Drunken Master and Snake in the Eagle's Shadow had made him a household name. Audiences loved his speed, his humor, and his style. And Jackie? He wasn't satisfied. He looked beyond Hong Kong, beyond China, beyond Asia. He wanted the world. He wanted to break into Hollywood, the biggest movie industry on earth. Because for him, true success didn't mean being famous in one country. It meant being known everywhere. But what Jackie didn't know was that Hollywood wasn't ready for him. And his next journey would be one of the most painful, humiliating, and difficult chapters of his life. In 1980, Jackie got an offer to work in the United States. It was a dream come true. An American producer had seen his Hong Kong films and thought, this guy could be the next Bruce Lee. They gave Jackie a role in a movie called The Big Brawl. It was his first leading role in an English-language film. The producers were excited. Jackie was excited. Everyone thought it would be a big success. But the moment filming started, Jackie realized something was wrong. The American director didn't understand Jackie's style. He wanted Jackie to fight like Bruce Lee, serious, slow, powerful. But Jackie was not Bruce Lee. He tried to suggest ideas, fast moves, funny reactions, crazy stunts. But the director said, no, just do it the American way. Jackie felt frustrated and ignored. Nobody listened to his creative ideas. Nobody let him be himself. He was a guest in someone else's system. When the movie was finally released, it flopped. American audiences didn't understand Jackie. Asian audiences didn't like the American version of him. And critics said, this actor is trying to be Bruce Lee, but he's not even close. Jackie felt embarrassed, disappointed, and angry. He had left Hong Kong at the peak of his success. And now he was being laughed at in the country he dreamed of conquering. But Jackie didn't give up. He signed up for another American movie, The Cannonball Run. It was a comedy with Hollywood stars like Burt Reynolds and Roger Moore. Jackie was given a small role, a Japanese driver. There was one big problem. Jackie is not Japanese. He's Chinese. But the producers didn't care. They didn't even know the difference. To them, all Asians were the same. Jackie was too polite to say anything. He wore the costume. He smiled for the camera. He delivered the lines they gave him, and once again, the movie failed to help his career. He was being used as a decoration, not as a real actor. He was being placed in movies not to shine, but to fill a spot. And the worst part? He couldn't speak English fluently. So during interviews, Jackie struggled to express himself. He felt stupid, small, and lost in translation. He returned to Hong Kong, not as a global star, but as a man who had tasted rejection from the biggest stage in the world. After failing in Hollywood, most people would give up. They would say, I'm not good enough. It's not my time. They don't accept people like me. But Jackie did something different. He returned to Hong Kong, sat down with his team, and said, "We're going to build something they've never seen before. They rejected me? Then I'll give them a reason to come begging." He decided to make his own kind of films, combining wild stunts, real pain, fast-paced action, Hong Kong culture, international-level storytelling, comedy and emotion, and Jackie's signature smile. He created a new genre, not traditional kung fu, not Hollywood action, but something in between. And this time, he had full control. He directed the films himself, choreographed the fights himself, designed the stunts himself, even sang the theme songs in Chinese. He became a one-man movie army. From 1985 to 1995, Jackie made film after film, each one more insane than the last. Some of his most iconic works during this period: Police Story, where he slides down a 5-story pole covered in lights; Project A, where he falls from a clock tower and lands on his head; Armor of God, where he jumps between trees and cracks his skull open; Rumble in the Bronx, where he breaks his ankle and keeps filming with a sock painted to look like a shoe. Every single film had real danger, real blood, and real Jackie Chan pain. He did not use stunt doubles. He did not use CGI. He believed, if I want the audience to feel something real, then I have to do something real. These films became legendary in Asia, Europe, and even parts of Africa and South America. Slowly, the West started watching. American fans started saying, "Who is this guy? Why does he risk his life in every movie? This is better than anything we have in Hollywood." Hollywood producers began to notice. And this time, they didn't want to control Jackie. They wanted to bring him in exactly as he was. By the late 1990s, Jackie was nearly 45 years old. He had already broken his fingers, his nose, more than 5 times, his ribs, his teeth, his skull, his ankles, his spine. He had performed over 1,000 stunts, many without permission or safety checks. He had nearly died more than 10 times on set. But he was still smiling, still climbing, still dreaming. Then came one final chance. An American producer offered him the lead role in a new buddy cop comedy film called Rush Hour. Jackie read the script. It was funny, it was fast, and the co-star would be Chris Tucker, a loud, energetic African-American comedian. It was the perfect contrast. And Jackie said yes. Nobody expected it to succeed. But when Rush Hour was released in 1998, it exploded. Rush Hour became one of the biggest action comedy hits in history. Jackie's fights, expressions, accent, timing, and chemistry with Chris Tucker were loved across the world. He was finally accepted, not as the next Bruce Lee, but as the first and only Jackie Chan. And after Rush Hour came Shanghai Noon, then Rush Hour 2, then The Tuxedo, then The Medallion, and then even voice roles like Master Monkey in Kung Fu Panda. The same man who had once been laughed at, rejected, and ignored by Hollywood was now invited, respected, awarded, and loved by Hollywood. For the first time in his life, Jackie Chan was no longer fighting for attention, no longer chasing fame, no longer struggling for a break. He had become a global icon. From Hong Kong to Hollywood, everyone knew his name. His movies were everywhere. In every cinema, on every TV, in every language. He had money, awards, fans, respect, and a long list of directors begging to work with him. But something was wrong. Something inside Jackie didn't feel complete. In fact, He was feeling something worse than emptiness. He was feeling guilt. Because while he was climbing the mountain of success, there was one part of his life he had left far behind: his family. And the first person that came into his mind was his son. Jackie Chan had a son named J.C. Chan, born in 1982. Jackie was 28 at the time, already a rising star in Hong Kong. But even when J.C. was born, Jackie wasn't ready to become a father. He was still working day and night on film sets, jumping through windows, falling off buildings, doing press tours, flying between countries. He wasn't home. He didn't attend school meetings. He didn't go to games or birthdays. He didn't teach his son how to ride a bike or solve problems. Instead, Jackie said to himself, "If I make more money, I can give my son a better future." But what JC wanted wasn't money. He wanted his father. By the time Jackie realized this, it was too late. JC had grown up feeling ignored, unseen, and unloved. In interviews, JC admitted that he was often raised by his mother, helpers, and private tutors, but rarely saw his father. And when they did talk, Jackie was not soft. He was strict. He was cold. He didn't know how to be emotionally present. Years later, Jackie wrote in his autobiography, "When I think about my son, I feel I've failed. I was too focused on success. I gave him everything, except myself." He admitted that he once hit JC so hard during an argument that his wife had to pull him away in fear. He later said, "I regret that moment every day." Jackie had grown up being beaten by his master. That was how he learned discipline. But he didn't realize his son wasn't him. JC wasn't a fighter. He wasn't a stuntman. He wasn't trying to be a martial artist. He just wanted to be a son. But Jackie couldn't see it then. He was blinded by ambition. JC tried to follow in his father's footsteps, entering the entertainment world. He studied music. He tried acting. But every time he appeared on screen, people said, "That's Jackie Chan's son. Let's see if he's like his dad. He better be great." The pressure was crushing, and JC struggled to find his own identity. He didn't want to flip off rooftops. He didn't want to fight 10 men at once. He wanted to sing, create, and just be himself. But being Jackie Chan's son means the world never lets you be normal. Jackie once said, "I gave my son too much. I tried to make up for my absence by giving him everything he asked for: cars, gadgets, opportunities. But I forgot to give him values. That was my mistake." He believed he was giving love by giving things. But what he missed was presence, emotion, patience, and listening. In 2014, JC was arrested in Beijing for drug possession. The news spread across the world instantly. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison. The son of Jackie Chan, known for discipline, strength, and clean living, was now in jail. The media went wild. Fans were shocked. Reporters asked, "How could Jackie's son end up like this?" But Jackie didn't blame anyone. He blamed himself. He released a public statement that said, "I'm ashamed. I feel pain as a father. JC must take responsibility, but I know this is also my failure. I didn't guide him well. I failed to be there when it mattered most." It was the most emotional public apology Jackie had ever made. Behind the strong body, the smiling face, and the fighter's heart was now a father full of regret. As Jackie entered his 50s and 60s, he started to reflect more deeply on life. He thought about his childhood. He thought about his pain. He thought about his career. But most of all, he thought about his legacy. He made a shocking decision. Jackie Chan announced that he would donate almost all his wealth to charity when he dies, not to his son. He said, if JC is capable, he can make his own money. If he's not, he won't know how to keep my money anyway. This made headlines around the world. Some people supported it, others were confused. But Jackie explained, I don't want to leave behind money. I want to leave behind values. My money came from pain. If my son doesn't understand that pain, the money will destroy him. He wanted JC to learn the way Jackie learned, by falling, by failing, and by growing strong through it. Even with all his success, Jackie now spends many days thinking about what he missed. He missed the warmth of a father-son bond. He missed moments of childhood. He missed conversations that could have changed everything. He has said in interviews, when you're young, you think money is everything. You think fame is power. But when you grow older, you realize the most important things in life are love, peace, and time. Jackie started doing more charity work, helping schools, orphanages, and young stunt performers. He became more active in public education, safety campaigns, and youth training. He also began mentoring young actors, giving them advice he never received, because he didn't want others to repeat his mistakes. Jackie Chan remains a hero to millions, but his legacy is not simple. Some criticize his political opinions, some criticize his parenting, some feel disappointed in how he handled certain things. But one thing is clear. Jackie never pretended to be perfect. He always showed his scars, his wounds, and his failures. And maybe that's what makes his story so powerful. He's not a man of fantasy. He's a man who rose from pain, loneliness, and confusion, who made the world laugh and cheer, and who now, in silence, reflects on what really matters. Part 3. The Final Falls of Jackie Chan. A body that gave everything. By the time Jackie Chan turned 60 years old, he had spent more than 5 decades falling, flipping, fighting, crashing, and surviving. He was no longer just an action star. He had become a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and unstoppable energy. But there was one enemy even Jackie couldn't defeat: time. His muscles, once hard like steel, had become tight, slow, and painful. His bones, once flexible like rubber, had become stiff, sore, and cracking. His heart, once wild with ambition, had become quiet, heavy, and thoughtful. Jackie Chan, the man who flew through glass windows, jumped between moving cars, and fell from rooftops, was now struggling to do the smallest things. He couldn't bend the same way. He couldn't sleep without pain. He couldn't run without feeling the tight pull of years of injuries. But still, he refused to stop. By this stage in life, Jackie's medical file looked like a war survivor's. He didn't just get hurt once or twice. He was almost killed more times than most people can count. Let's look at the real list. Skull fracture from Armor of God, where he almost died and started bleeding from his ears. Broken nose, more than 3 times. Broken fingers, several times. Dislocated shoulders, many times. Fractured ribs, countless. Broken ankles. Once had to wear a sock painted like a shoe just to finish a movie. Pelvis injury, made walking difficult for years. Teeth knocked out, then fixed and lost again. Severe burns, from explosions gone wrong. Permanent hearing loss in one ear. Back injuries that still make it hard for him to sit for long. Chronic spinal pain from decades of abuse. And perhaps the worst part? Most of these injuries were never fully healed. because Jackie never took long breaks. He would rest a little, then go back to set. Why? Because he believed, if I don't finish the movie, the whole team suffers. I can't let them down. That was Jackie's biggest strength and biggest flaw. He never put himself first. Even after 50, Jackie continued doing real stunts that most actors wouldn't dare attempt at 25. In movies like Who Am I?, he slid down a 21-story glass building without a harness. Chinese Zodiac, he jumped across cliffs and did fast-paced car chases. Skip Trace, he was in freezing water for hours. Vanguard, he performed multiple chase scenes even after injuring his hip. Producers begged him to use stunt doubles. But Jackie always said the same thing. If the audience sees my face in the shot, they believe it. If they believe it, they feel it. That's what I'm here for. To make them feel something real. That was Jackie's mission. Not just to entertain, but to make people feel something real, even if it broke him. After each scene, Jackie didn't go home smiling. He often limped back to his trailer, holding his back, icing his legs, sometimes crying from the pain. He couldn't sleep well. He had trouble standing for long. His hands would shake after every fight scene. And sometimes, he had to be helped just to take off his costume. But when the camera turned on, he became Jackie Chan again, because he knew there are people out there watching this movie who are going through pain, sadness, and depression. If I can make them smile, even for 10 seconds, it's worth everything. That was his mindset, and that's why the world loves him, not just for his talent, but for his heart. As Jackie reached his 60s, his doctors started warning him. They said, "You can't take another fall like this. If you hit your head again, you could lose your memory. One wrong move could paralyze you." But Jackie kept pushing, because stopping meant facing something he wasn't ready for: silence. For more than 50 years, he had lived in front of cameras. He had been the center of sets, the leader of crews, the man who jumped first. If he stopped, he wouldn't know who he was anymore. So instead of fully retiring, Jackie chose a new path. He would slowly shift from action to mentorship, from falling on screen to lifting others behind the scenes. But the transition wasn't easy. Jackie began investing in younger actors and stunt teams. He trained them, fed them, protected them, and gave them opportunities. The same way he never had. He created scholarships, opened training centers, funded film schools, and told every young actor, "Don't copy me, learn from me, and then do better." He also started doing more voice work, like in Kung Fu Panda, where he played Master Monkey. It was less physical, but still powerful, because Jackie realized something. Even if I can't fight the same, I can still inspire. That became his new fight, to use his story to lift others. In recent years, Jackie began receiving Lifetime Achievement Awards around the world. At the Oscars, when he finally received his honorary Academy Award, he said, "After 56 years in the industry, after making over 200 films, after breaking so many bones, I finally have one of these. Thank you." He smiled, but his eyes were wet, because he remembered the wooden floors of China Drama Academy, the rejections in Hollywood, the broken skulls, the broken heart, and the years of waiting for the world to understand his value. He also gave a speech in Beijing where he said, "If I had another life, I wouldn't do it all again. Not because I don't love my fans, but because I would like to live once, without pain." That was the most honest line he had ever spoken. Even legends get tired. Jackie Chan's body gave everything it had. It bent, cracked, bled, and carried his dream across the world. But now it's slowing down. He can no longer jump the way he used to. He no longer fights in the same style. He chooses carefully what to do. But in that slower pace, there is wisdom. There is peace. Because Jackie has proven everything. He doesn't need to fall anymore, because the world already rose for him. Part 4. The Final Bow. Jackie Chan's last chapter. The cameras are quieter now. The stunts are fewer. The crowd still scream his name. But Jackie no longer runs to the edge of the rooftop, ready to fall. He walks slowly now. He smiles more softly. He sits longer, breathes deeper, and talks more carefully. Because after spending over 60 years in the spotlight, after breaking almost every bone in his body, after rising from poverty to global fame, after losing himself, finding himself, and losing again, Jackie Chan is no longer chasing the next hit movie. He's chasing something else. Something he had ignored for most of his life. Peace. Today, Jackie lives a slower, simpler life. He still acts occasionally, but only in carefully chosen roles. He avoids risky stunts now. He respects his age. He listens to his body. Most of his days are now spent training younger actors, writing and reviewing scripts, attending charity events, traveling to give talks at schools and universities, sitting quietly in nature, reading, meditating, or remembering. He often visits his old stunt team, many of whom are also aging, injured, or retired. They share stories, they laugh, sometimes they cry. Because those men are the only ones who truly understand the pain, the fear, and the glory of what they gave up for cinema. Jackie pays for their medical bills, supports their families, and always says, without them, there would be no Jackie Chan. This is who he is now, not just a star, but a protector of those who built him. Jackie knows that one day he won't be here anymore. So now, he's focused on what he leaves behind. He is actively building film museums that preserve Hong Kong cinema and martial arts history, charity schools for children from poor backgrounds, especially in rural areas, scholarships for young filmmakers and actors, stunt training academies to keep the art of real action alive, archives of all his films, footage, outtakes, injuries, and behind-the-scenes materials. He's also writing more, books, letters, reflections, for people who want to learn from his life. But Jackie doesn't want to be remembered just as a movie star. He wants to be remembered as a man who gave everything he had, and then still gave more. Jackie has spoken openly about his aging. In one interview, he said, "There are mornings I wake up and I don't know if I can walk straight. My knees hurt. My back screams. My fingers are stiff. But then I remember, I chose this." He no longer regrets the injuries. He accepts them. He calls them the price of a dream. But with that acceptance has come a new understanding, that the body breaks, but the mind must heal. That time is limited. That people disappear. That money fades. That pain teaches. That love matters more than fame. He has now reached a place in life where he says, I don't want more houses. I don't want more awards. I just want the world to become a little better. Because I was in it. Fame is not friendship. Jackie has millions of fans, but very few people who truly know him. He has admitted in multiple interviews that he sometimes feels deeply lonely. He walks through airports and people scream his name. He sits in a restaurant and strangers ask for photos. He smiles, always. But deep inside, he sometimes thinks, do they love me? or just the version of me they saw on screen. That's the silent pain of legends. Everyone knows your name, but very few understand your soul. And Jackie, even now, still feels like that little boy at China Drama Academy, trying to be strong when nobody is watching. Over the years, Jackie has given thousands of interviews, speeches, and talks. But there's one message he keeps repeating to the younger generation. Don't look for easy success. Look for real value. Don't copy others. Build your own path. Don't chase fame. Chase growth. Don't give up when it hurts. That's where real strength is built. He warns young actors, don't think I'm lucky. I worked through blood. I was laughed at, beaten, doubted, but I never stopped. He tells them, the best life is not the easiest one. It's the one where you can say, I gave everything. And that's what Jackie wants you to remember. Not his movies, not his stunts, not his fame, but his effort, his dedication, his discipline. In his later years, Jackie began receiving the global recognition he had waited decades for. Oscar Lifetime Achievement Award, BAFTA Awards, honorary doctorates from universities, statues in Hong Kong and Hollywood, streets named after him, UNICEF Ambassador for Children's Rights. But every time he accepts these honors, he bows his head and says, I am not better than others. I just refuse to quit. He reminds the world, I was a nobody. I cleaned floors. I carried cables. I ate on dirty sets. I bled on cold concrete. I'm just the result of what happens when you love your craft, more than your comfort. In recent years, Jackie has begun speaking softly, but honestly, about death. He doesn't fear it, but he wants to be ready. He wants his last years to be useful, not just comfortable. He wants to pass down his knowledge, not just sit in luxury. He wants to leave a trail that others can follow, not a throne that disappears. He once said, one day my name will stop trending, my face will fade. But if I did my job right, some boy somewhere will keep going because of me. That's enough. That's everything, he also wrote. Death comes for all of us. But not all of us live fully before it comes. I lived fully. I gave everything. I can go in peace. Even with all the peace Jackie now seeks, there is one wound that never fully healed. His son. Their relationship has improved, but it's not perfect. They talk sometimes. They meet sometimes. But Jackie knows. You can fix a house, but you can't always fix a broken childhood. He doesn't hide this pain. Instead, he uses it as a lesson. He tells young fathers, your children don't need a hero. They need you. Don't make the same mistake I did. This is perhaps his deepest regret and his most powerful truth. In one interview, the host asked, what do you want people to remember when you're gone? Jackie paused, then said, I want them to say, he gave his life for others. Not just on screen, but off screen. He never gave up. He didn't pretend to be perfect. He made people smile. He made people stronger. He showed what it means to love your craft, your people, and your pain. He smiled, then added, and maybe they'll watch one of my old movies and still feel like I'm there, jumping, fighting, falling, and getting back up. One last time. This is not just Jackie Chan's story. This is a story about fighting even when nobody believes in you, smiling while you're in pain, falling again and rising every time, building something real from nothing, becoming a legend, not by being perfect, but by being relentless. He was never the tallest, never the strongest, never the fastest, but he outworked everyone. And he never stopped. He became more than an actor. He became a lesson. So when you think of Jackie Chan from now on, don't just think of the action star. Think of the boy who was abandoned, the man who was doubted, the father who was broken, the body that was shattered, the legend who kept moving. Think of the man who gave everything so you could believe in something. If this story moved your heart, if you learned something powerful today, if you want more real, emotional, life-changing stories like this, that also help you improve your English every time. Then subscribe now and become part of something truly powerful. Because this is not just a channel. This is a journey of greatness. And it's only just beginning. Thank you for watching. Now go live your life like Jackie did, with fire in your soul and no fear in your fall.